Hello and welcome to Syndicate Gaming. My name is Jim, and today we're going to be talking about the big boys in Marvel Crisis Protocol. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the characters that are six or more threat, which there's only nine of them in the entire game, so we can cover most of them here. Um, so just to kick things off here, I want to talk about, why there's so much discussion around these characters and some of the issues that I think they're causing with the game. Um, so this really came up for me recently when I listened to Will Schick's interview on the Gamers Guild about the timeline format. And, I went to Adepticon, played in the big timeline event. I went 4-2. I had a great time. And I feel like that format is very successful. And I think a big part of that is that most of these six threat characters were not in the timeline format. There's no Hulk, no Thanos, no Cosmic Ghost Rider, no Malekith. It only has Magneto and She-Hulk, who are probably the least offensive of these nine characters I have on the screen. And then this was further reinforced in my most recent game in the Fury's Finest League. It's a casual event. It's just for bragging rights. But I was playing the Criminal Syndicate. I've been trying out the new Spider Foes, getting reps in with them. So I had them with Claw, and my match was against the Brotherhood of Mutants. And he brought Hulk, which is a really common thing in Brotherhood. You see that all the time. It's like Mystique, Juggernaut, Hulk, and then random 2 and 3 threats, or just one. And this got me thinking of like, you know, Hulk is very prominent. Thanos is very prominent. Cosmic Ghost Rider was a menace for a long time. I think he kind of ruined the Las Vegas Open. The finals was a mirror match of Guardians with Cosmic Ghost Rider and Hulk. Thanos has been an issue for a long time. Malekith was an absolute menace as well. So these guys are worth discussion and maybe a little bit of criticism. And I'm going to propose a solution that I've thought of that I think is kind of elegant and could fix the problems with these characters at the high end of play. So let's start by talking about these six threat characters. So I don't think anyone's going to disagree that these characters are difficult to design, right? Like, I don't work in game design or anything like that, but like when Hulk first came out, he was not good. He was bad, right? Like he didn't gain power with his strike. He was missing some of these superpowers. He had really bad defense. So the, you know, designers at AMG were well aware that they didn't want to make him too strong, and they dialed him back a little bit too much, right? And then in the first round of Eratus, he got a very significant buff. And I feel like since then he's been too strong. I'm just gonna say it. I think he's too good. Um, because we just see him all the time, right? It's like his throw is 2 power, size 4 or less, and throws them medium. Like that alone pushes out a ton of characters in the entire game. And then he has 20 health. Like you can't daze him to like get him off of a point. Like you have to just kill him. Then there's stuff in the game like patch up, and the kind of characters you run with Hulk can patch him up really easily. So I just think it's frustrating to play against. And like I understand and I know that Hulk needs to feel powerful, right? Like it's Hulk. He's the strongest Avenger. He beats people up. He is unstoppable. And I think the reason why Hulk has been so strong for so long is because when people ask, who's the strongest character in the game, and you say Hulk, they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Hulk should be the strongest character in the game. And, that's fine. But let me just propose something right here, right now. Let you guys think about it while I make my other points. I think characters that are six or more threat should not be allowed to splash outside of their affiliations. So just soak that in for a second. I think six or more threat, so these nine characters can only be taken where they are affiliated. And let me tell you why I think this is a good idea. So let's take Hulk, for example, because I think he's the main offender. Like my most recent game that brought this up, he's being used in the Brotherhood of Mutants. Brotherhood has a three threat leader with Mystique, who gains tons of power for patch up. They have Juggernaut, who's also kind of similar to Hulk, who's in Brotherhood. So it allows them to take both of these characters and, do crazy stuff with size fours. And, it's good. It's good on Senators. It's a known thing. Like Hulk can do a ton of BS on round one because he gets a power back for interacting. So he can like move, jump, interact, and then move away again. That's just one of the things he can do. There's a whole ton of plays that are open to him. But so like Hulk is a six threat, obviously, and Magneto is a six threat. And you don't see Magneto in Brotherhood anymore, which is a shame because he's the leader of the Brotherhood, right? But it's like, why would I bring Magneto when Hulk is just so much better at the exact same threat? Like it just doesn't make sense thematically or gameplay wise. So let's look at Thanos as well. So Thanos is being taken right now in Cabal under the new Red Skull because Red Skull basically gives him the, reality gem, right? So Thanos is allowed to then take the mind and space gem and have like all three essentially. And then Thanos has a ton of power for Red Skull to use. Like, I've heard Mike DeLuca on his podcast, The Danger Room, talk about how it's dumb to play against. Like, Thanos is stupid. Like, I've used Thanos in Criminal Syndicate to like win one of the heats at Nova one year. Like, I went 4-0, made the semis and the whole thing. Like, Thanos has been good for a long time, but you don't really see him in Black Order, which is a shame, I think. Like, Thanos is the leader of the Black Order, and you just don't see it because it's like, why would I use Thanos in Black Order when he's so much better in Cabal or Guardians of the Galaxy, you know? And then, like, Malekith, when he was so strong, like, yes, he was used in Cabal, he's a Cabal leader, but he was most egregious elsewhere. Like, I saw him in, like, Wakanda, or what? He was used, I don't know, he was just used everywhere, right? Like, places that gave him extra power. Like, he's been nerfed multiple times. Thanos has been nerfed multiple times. Cosmic Ghost Rider caught a huge ban hammer, and this change that I'm proposing wouldn't even be that rough on him, right? Because he was used in Guardians and Black Order anyways. So basically what I'm trying to say is these high threat characters should be limited to their home affiliations because it's thematic and it helps out gameplay a ton. Like, yes, it will boost the affiliations that they're in, but I think that's okay. So, like, if I roll up against the Avengers, they have Hulk in their roster. I'm like, okay, Hulk is a possibility of this game. But I don't see that every round, right? Like, I'm not seeing Hulk 5 out of 6 rounds in a tournament. I'm only seeing him when they play Avengers. So my list will still need to have, anti big boy tech, which is fine, but it's like I don't need to bring it every single game because right now I feel like in the competitive scene, I have to have basically Beta Ray Bill because he's the best answer to these kind of models. So I feel like I have to have Beta Ray Bill, and then if the other player has a Hulk or a Malekith or a Thanos in their roster, I probably need to put Bill on the table. Which leads me to my next point in that allowing these big characters to run rampant is limiting list building and squad building, right? So like if I think my opponent is going to use Hulk, I have to A, have Bill in my list, and then B, play him on the table. And they might not even bring Hulk, right? Like they could have Hulk in their roster but not put him on the table, but I still brought Bill. So it's already putting me at like a disadvantage. Um, and also I just want to mention something I've been thinking about is like one of the main critiques of this change that I'm proposing to only limit them to where they're affiliated is I think one of the main selling points of Marvel Crisis Protocol is that I can go out and buy a box of two characters or one character or four, whatever, and I can put them in any roster. It's like most of my collection could be Midnight Suns, but I could go buy Thanos and play him in Midnight Suns. And I think that is a huge selling point of Marvel Crisis Protocol, and I love that. But I think in casual play, you could still do that, right? Like you could go to your game night, you could play with your friends, like, hey, tonight I want to try Thanos and Midnight Suns. Great, perfect. That's exactly what's happening right now, right? But I think if we're talking about competitive play, which, is an alternate format, like, people that play in tournaments play by a different set of rules essentially. If they just say, listen, 6+ threat, only affiliated, like I don't know. I feel like it would help out a ton. So basically, so like it's like the Midnight Suns, right? They're one of two affiliations that have access to the Immortal Hulk. So like it just gives us a reason to play Midnight Suns, right? Because right now it feels like the game is in a place where it's like, okay, which affiliations maximize these big characters like Hulk and Thanos? Like for a long time it was Guardians of the Galaxy because of rerolls. Like it's probably still Guardians of the Galaxy. People are just so tired of them. They've moved on to other stuff. And like, the new Red Skull is obviously new. Thanos in there is great. But it's like, what if, you know, like Black Order would essentially be the only team that can bring Thanos, and you can leave Thanos very powerful, right? Like you don't have to nerf Thanos into the ground so he doesn't feel powerful. Like, you want Thanos to feel like a powerhouse, but to play him in a tournament, you have to be Black Order because it, fits thematically, balances out the gameplay, like I don't know. I feel like something needs to be done about these big characters because there's 9 of them, right? 9 out of 184. So that's 5% of all the characters in the game are warping the other 176, right? So I went and made a list of characters that get dumpstered by Hulk. Here they all are. There's 76 of them that get dumpstered by Hulk, right? Like everyone else except like Beta Ray Bill and Captain Marvel are like bad against Hulk, but all of these characters are terrible against Hulk. So, you might say, we can't limit list building because we want anyone to play whatever they want. But I would argue that allowing models like Hulk and Thanos to run rampant is limiting our list and squad building of like 76 characters plus another 25 that are just decent into them, right? So by, limiting them, it actually opens up squad building because like anyone that's watched the channel knows that we love MODOK here. Like MODOK is fantastic, right? But you cannot play him when Hulk is around. Like MODOK is really good into Web Warriors, but you can't bring him because the best model, the best and most popular model in the game is absolutely dumpsters you. So I can't bring MODOK, I can't bring Claw. I like Kingpin struggles. I like Charles. Charles is so cool, right? But I can't play him because of Hulk. Because Hulk will just move, jump, throw Charles medium. Because it essentially wastes his whole turn, right? So I'm getting a little ranty and revved up here, but it's something that's been frustrating me about this game for a little bit now. And, I would love to hear people's comments or criticisms about this because, obviously this is just my opinion, but I feel like a lot of people are frustrated by these big characters. So let's say that this was put into practice, right? So like only Cabal can bring Malekith. I think that's cool. I think you could, well, maybe not, but I think you could actually buff him a little bit, right? Because like you only have to worry about what's in Cabal that's benefiting him, or I guess any 3 or 4 threat characters that you could splash. But like it opens up leaderships because like I mean, I obviously don't know how things are designed or anything like that, but they have mentioned in the past that like every character they design, they have to think about Lockjaw because Lockjaw can just move any character range 3 up the board, you know? So like if they're designing a leadership for, I don't know, Fantastic Four, right now the designers have to think about, is Thanos broken in Fantastic Four? Is Malekith broken in Fantastic Four because of the leadership or the cards or whatever it may be? But if you can only bring Malekith in Cabal, it fixes that problem, right? Um, you know, you can just look at the list here and see that the Avengers have 3 6 threats, which, they'll probably still bring Hulk. Like Hulkbuster might get pushed out. Like you would never see Hulkbuster. But I'd argue like we already don't see Hulkbuster because of Hulk. Like Hulkbuster doesn't handle Hulk, even though he should. So, I mean, maybe the simple solution is just to nerf Hulk. But this change, like doesn't even need you to print out cards or like remember changes or anything like that. It would basically just make everyone like Dormammu, right? It's like so Dormammu can only be in Dark Dimension and everyone's Dark Dimension. I think it would work. I think it would work. And then it lets the characters still feel powerful, right? Which is awesome. Like Malekith never sees play anymore because he was too good when you brought him like in the, like in Brotherhood or like under Black Bolt, stuff like that. So there we go. That's my little rant about the state of the game. Let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna link socials down in the comments, but subscribe. Let me know what you think of this and what you change or if it's totally fine. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.